So today is kind of a rainy, drizzly, kind of chilly day. And so we don't get a lot of those in Southern California, but we've got some kind of a storm that's here. So it's going to be pretty rainy today. So I thought I would get dinner prepared tonight and make some really delicious stuffed bell peppers. Now, these aren't going to be the traditional ones with the rice and all that. We're going to make stuffed bell peppers that are made with cauliflower rice. They're made with a lean ground beef, and we are going to have something that not only is going to be delicious, but it's going to be really, really, really healthy. So I've already cleaned this cauliflower a little bit, but what I'm going to do is just finish cutting it up. You know, it looked a lot larger when I bought it, and I just can't believe how many of these leaves were on it. It's actually a really small cauliflower, so I was going to use half of this for another recipe, but we'll see how much of it we get after it's steamed. So all I'm going to do at this point is just take the core out of this cauliflower. Now I want to finish cleaning it once I separate all of these little florets. So I'm going to put it right here in my little catcher for my Sistema steamer. And then I'm going to put it under the water in the sink. Look at this. This is terrible. I'm really disappointed. This is just I don't know. It wasn't cheap either. We're going to cook it a little bit more, not too much. You're going to be surprised. It's not going to be completely cooked when we put it in these peppers. All right, I think this is it for me. I've got it pretty much cooked, about half of the way, maybe a little bit more. I'm gonna take it off the heat. And at this point, I'm gonna add my seasonings and take whatever grease off that has accumulated from the cooked meat. All right, let's get our cauliflower. Actually, I'm gonna season it first. Seems like brown onions are always the strongest, but they're the best when it comes to cooking, in my opinion. You want an onion that after it's cooked, it's going to give you some flavor. Now we're going to cut up our bell peppers. We're going to get those all ready to stuff. I think I'll do 2 halves. I think that will be easiest. All right, now I'm going to give these a good wash, and we will get the rest of this meal started. All right, I'm going to use a little bit of garlic powder. If you want to use fresh garlic, you do that. I'm going to put in some dehydrated basil out of my garden. I'm going to use some seasoned salt. I'm going to skip the regular salt since I did the seasoning salt, and then I'm going to use some black pepper. And I'm going to add a little bit of my home canned spaghetti sauce. These are from the tomatoes off my trees in my garden. I always just empty the water and then I put the vegetables back in the container. So this cauliflower is not cooked as much as I usually cook it to rice it. So you could put this through a food processor if you want. I don't really care that it's super fine this time. I'm gonna just kind of get it into smaller pieces. And then I'm gonna add this to my meat mixture. I'm not sure I'm gonna add it all, but. So I've sprayed the bottom of my 8x8 pan. And now I'm just gonna put my bell peppers in here. And then we're just gonna fill them up with our meat and cauliflower mixture. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of this leftover pasta sauce right over the top of these. Just like that. And I'm going to put a little bit of mozzarella cheese right over the top of this. All right, I'm gonna let this cool for about a half an hour before I put it in the refrigerator, and then I'm gonna cover it with some foil and I'll bake it a little later, but it's all done, prepped, and ready to go. So the next thing I like to do is get all of my onions that are chopped up that I didn't use in my dish, put into the refrigerator for eggs and different types of things throughout the week. So the next thing I want to make for dinner tonight is a dessert, is some chia pudding. So I am going to put in about 1/3 cup of chia seeds. And then I'm going to add almond milk to this and some monk fruit sweetener. So I'm going to add a couple big tablespoons to this, just because I want to be able to have it taste like pudding. All right, we're just going to give that a little stir with a little shake, I guess. Now, the key to really good chia pudding is not throwing it in the refrigerator right now. We're going to leave it on the counter about 5 minutes till it starts to expand a little bit, and then we're going to give it another shake, then we'll refrigerate it. So I'm going to make something I don't typically make. I really like baking from scratch, but I don't have time today. So I am making some of these wild blueberry muffins for my granddaughter and my husband. So my son ended up going out of state for a few days with his wife and his 2 sons. And so the other grandma and I got care of the 1-year-old for 4 days. So anyway, I'm kind of prepping. My husband and I are just going to take her to Disneyland tomorrow and wear her out. So hopefully she sleeps through the night, and then tomorrow sometime in the evening my son will be home. But anyway, I'm going to have some little muffins to take with us to Disneyland, and they're actually going to be little muffin cakes. So let me show you how simple these are. So I've made my blueberry muffin mix. And I've sprayed my mini loaf pans. And all I'm gonna do is put an equal mixture of the blueberry muffin mix in each one of these little pans. I usually do the first pass when I'm doing something like this, make sure I get the even amount in here, and then I go in and top each one of them off. It's just easier for me to do it that way. And there you go. I'm gonna put these in the oven. It says to cook the muffins for 15 to 20 minutes. I'm gonna set my oven to 15 minutes and then I'll bring you back as soon as they're done. It's been 5 minutes. Give our chia seeds a little shake. I'm actually gonna use my spoon to go in and give it a good stir. That's the secret to the perfect chia pudding. Now your chia seeds will be divided evenly. So these are my muffins. I'm gonna let these cool and then they're gonna be all ready for tomorrow. So my fast is officially over. It's time to start making my breakfast lunch. So I'm gonna be fixing some eggs. I'm gonna cook some onions with those, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna have like a protein tortilla or maybe have some yogurt. I don't know. I'm so hungry right now. I could eat everything. So let me show you how it comes out as soon as I make it. Most important of everything is I need to get a really good cup of coffee going. And that means I'm going to make it with some of this Fairlife milk. I want to have kind of a latte with some monk fruit sweetener. It's going to be good. So right now, let's just get some eggs going. All right, so I'm going to scramble 3 eggs. I'm going to add a little bit of milk to this. And I'll bring you back as soon as these are all scrambled up. All right, this is my breakfast. I'm going to have an Oikos yogurt. I've got 3 scrambled eggs with some onion and a coffee latte. There you go. Breakfast is served, finally. So the last thing I'm going to be doing today to kind of prep for the next few days is I'm going to be making a couple of healthy Ninja creamies. Now I have some fat-free cottage cheese. I have some unsweetened almond milk. And so all I'm going to do is put some of these things into my blender. And I've also got some blackberries that I've cooked and strained all the seeds out of. So I'm gonna be making some blackberry creamy, my first one. And I'm gonna put in some, I'm gonna put some monk fruit sweetener in here. And that is it. That is all we're gonna put in this first creamy. Give it a good blend. Now these creamies have to set in the freezer for 24 hours before you can eat them. So they will be good tomorrow night. All right, so the next one we're gonna do is a persimmon creamy. We're gonna put some naked whey in there. I've got a super ripe persimmon. Now these are persimmons off my tree. These are those chia persimmons. They're extremely good, but you cannot eat them unless they're completely ripe. All right, now we're going to take some almond milk. We're gonna take some monk fruit sweetener and give it a good blend. And there you go. 2 beautiful creamies for the freezer. Well, that's gonna do it for me. What I eat in a typical day. I am actually going to get all this stuff put away and ready as I'm going to be picking up the baby in a few hours. So breakfast, I had scrambled eggs with some onions, some yogurt, a nice cafe latte. I started that about 12 noon. I'm going to be having some nuts a little bit later, some almonds. And for dinner, I'm having some stuffed bell peppers with cauliflower instead of rice. And also I'm going to be serving that with a salad. And you saw I updated some of my creamies. I do have another creamy in the freezer that's all ready for tonight. So I think later we may have as a dessert either the chia pudding or a creamy. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to send some of these to Disneyland with the baby and with my husband. I don't eat until noon anyway because of the intermittent fasting. And so I'll probably just have some fruit or maybe a protein shake, something like that, and then just eat my lunch and dinner throughout the day. So I hope this video was helpful to you. If you are doing the intermittent fasting, if you're following a diet program, if you're just doing the 10-pound transform Thanksgiving challenge with me, I hope this gives you some more ideas. So preparation is key, whether you're fasting or you're not. I think anything that's gonna really help the most for success on your diet is preparing so you're not caught off guard and going off your diet. So thanks again for joining me today. If you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing to my channel. Give me a like, a thumbs up, or ring that bell for future notifications, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.